Deep inside a cold cave in New Mexico, something impossible was waiting. What began as a routine NASA-backed cave survey suddenly turned into a discovery that defied history. Dr. Rachel Morgan was mapping underground water systems in the Carlsbad region. Research meant to help scientists understand Mars-like geology on Earth. The cave was quiet, narrow, and completely dark except for her headlamp. Then she stepped on something hard. Not rock, not limestone. Metal. Her heart stopped for a moment. Metal does not form naturally like this. Smooth, curved, manufactured, buried inside rock layers that had taken centuries to form. She called her colleague, Dr. Marcus Webb, who crawled toward her through the tight passage. When his light joined hers, both scientists froze. A curved metallic surface was embedded directly into the cave wall. Limestone had grown around it like a scar, sealing it in place. There was no rust, no corrosion, just a dull gray surface that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. This was not mining equipment. This was not debris from any known crash. Whatever this was, it had been here for a very long time, and it should not exist. Dr. Morgan immediately contacted base camp. The water survey was stopped. This was no longer a geological mission. At first, the team assumed it might be experimental aircraft debris, possibly military. But early scans told a different story. Within hours, the cave entrance turned into a secured zone. Local authorities arrived first, then geologists from the University of New Mexico. When scans showed the object extended at least 40 feet into solid rock, the situation escalated quickly. By the next morning, NASA's specialists from Johnson Space Center arrived, along with materials engineers and individuals who did not introduce themselves. Military presence was obvious. Dr. Vincent Torres, a senior aerospace engineer, studied the exposed section carefully. The seams were unlike aircraft construction. The angles were too precise. The materials were unfamiliar. The limestone around the object dated back hundreds of years. That fact alone ruled out any modern origin. No human-made vehicle could be that old and remain perfectly preserved. Torres said what no one else wanted to say out loud. This was not an aircraft. This was a spacecraft. And now they had to uncover it slowly, carefully, and without waking whatever might still be inside. The excavation took 3 full days. Teams worked in rotating shifts, using hand tools and soft brushes. No heavy machinery. Any damage could destroy critical evidence. Mineral layers that took centuries to form were removed millimeter by millimeter. As more of the structure emerged, the shape became clear. A cylindrical craft nearly 30 feet long, wider in the middle and tapered at both ends. There were no visible engines, no exhaust ports, nothing that matched known propulsion systems. The exterior showed signs of extreme age. Yet the metal itself looked untouched by time. This alone confused the engineers. Materials like this should degrade. This one did not. On the 4th day, they found something unexpected. A seam. It was nearly invisible, perfectly aligned with the hull. Dr. Morgan's chisel struck it by accident, producing a hollow sound. Under magnification, Dr. Torres confirmed it was an entrance. There were no handles, no buttons, No visible controls. Dr. Jennifer Walsh suggested electromagnetic induction. If any residual power remained, a magnetic field might trigger a response. The idea was risky, but doing nothing would reveal nothing. They powered up the generator. At first, nothing happened. Then the cave began to hum. The low vibration grew stronger, resonating through the cave walls and into their bodies. The scene began to glow faint blue. Light traced its outline, spreading across the hull in branching patterns. Symbols appeared. Markings hidden for centuries suddenly came alive. Dr. Torres ordered everyone to step back. But no one could look away. The hum shifted into tones, almost musical. Then, with a sharp release of pressure, the scene separated. The panel slid inward, revealing darkness inside. Dr. Walsh scanned the opening. There was air inside. Breathable air, similar to Earth's atmosphere, but not identical. Higher oxygen levels. Torres made a decision. Morgan and Marcus would enter with him. The rest would secure the perimeter. Inside, the craft looked brand new. The interior was clean, smooth, untouched by time. Walls curved naturally, covered in glowing symbols that looked mathematical charts, formulas, patterns. Marcus pointed to a flat surface. No buttons, no screens, just symbols embedded into the material itself. At the center stood a vertical column. Inside it floated a crystal complex, geometric, and alive with motion. As Morgan stepped closer, the symbols brightened. The spacecraft was not dead. It was waking up. As the crystal reacted, panels across the room activated. Information appeared, data that none of them could read. Yet Morgan felt something strange. Understanding without language. Torres ordered her to step back, but it was too late. The crystal responded directly to her presence. She realized this was not a power source. It was storage. A data system beyond anything humanity had created. Holographic displays appeared around them. Star maps filled the air. The constellations were unfamiliar. Marcus ran calculations quickly. These were not stars from another location. They were Earth's stars from the past. The positions matched the early 1800s, a period known for extreme climate disaster, including the year without a summer in 1816, after a massive volcanic eruption. Then the holograms changed. Earth appeared from orbit, but different. Weather patterns were altered. Coastlines slightly changed. Markers appeared across the planet. More spacecraft appeared in the display. Many of them. This craft was not alone. It was part of a global observation network. And they had been watching Earth during one of humanity's darkest environmental periods. The crystal pulsed again. Morgan felt pressure in her mind. Not words. Pure information, concepts, images, understanding. This civilization had studied Earth for thousands of years. When the volcanic catastrophe struck in the early 1800s, most of the network evacuated. This craft was damaged and crashed into the cave system. Its crew left or did not survive. The systems entered hibernation, waiting for the right signal. The team moved deeper into the craft. Another chamber opened. Inside was a laboratory. Instruments lined the walls. In the center stood a sealed container, made of the same crystal material. Inside were samples. Soil, water, plants, biological material. All preserved perfectly. Morgan translated the symbols. These samples were collected from Earth, different time periods. One clearly labeled from 1816 volcanic ash, atmospheric data, temperature records. They were not just observing from space. They were on the ground. They were documenting human suffering, climate collapse, and survival. The final log entry was clear. One researcher stayed behind to protect the data for us. The final hologram showed population centers, mortality rates, food shortages, social collapse. Whoever built this craft cared enough to track the human cost of disaster. Torres ordered the site secured immediately. This was not just a crashed object. It was proof that Earth had been systematically observed. Over the following weeks, the cave became one of the most secure scientific sites on the planet. The data revolutionized understanding of the 1816 climate event. It was more detailed than any human record. NASA held a controlled press conference. No speculation, only facts. An unknown spacecraft embedded for over 200 years, filled with detailed observations of Earth. The world reacted with awe and fear. Morgan spent weeks cataloging the data. One final translation emerged from deep within the crystal. A message. Your species shows promise. You question. You explore. You endure. When you reach beyond your world, you will not be alone. But you must reach. We cannot come to you. The craft had activated because humanity was finally advanced enough to understand it. The lights inside the spacecraft dimmed, returning to a steady glow. The crystal continued to hum quietly, holding centuries of knowledge. Morgan stood alone one last time inside the craft. She thought about the one who stayed behind, knowing rescue would never come. Choosing knowledge over survival. The discovery changed everything. We were not alone. We were never ignored. We were being studied. And now, the responsibility is ours. The universe left us a roadmap. The only question is, are we ready to follow it? If you enjoy deep mysteries, hidden history, and mind-blowing facts like this, subscribe to Mr. No. Share your thoughts in the comments. And stay curious, because the truth is always bigger than we imagine.